go. Once again, it is time to paint all the things with me, JP Gotrokkits, right here in the pocket dimension. So, here is the close cam. Here we go. This is the monthly monster. It is the Cavern troll from Wizkids. And we're just going to finish it up tonight and auction it off. Give it away to one fortunate subscriber right here on Twitch. So if you are not a fan of Twitch and you would rather watch on YouTube, that's fine. But if you are over at YouTube and you haven't subscribed yet on YouTube, please do so. It's free. It doesn't cost you a thing. It helps me out immensely. Go ahead and wrestle the thumb and give us a like down there, because I've been watching the numbers on YouTube, and there's several of you that I think are watching the VODs, and it would be nice to have a little recognition and hopefully know that I'm doing somebody some good out there watching those the YouTube side of things. So please go ahead and click that subscribe and click that like if you haven't already, because that'd be pretty cool. So, all right. So, first order of business, let's go ahead and open up these holes a little bit more. I tried fitting these mushroom stems in here a little earlier, and they didn't quite make it. So let's go ahead and open up that base just a little bit more with our handy dandy pin vise. Now I've got my pin vices set up in such a way as to have a different pin vise with its own bit in it. So this one I dropped this one on the ground or on the floor, and it snapped that bit off. But yeah, I find it a lot easier to have each pin vise having its own bit as opposed to constantly changing it out all the time. So that's an idea. They're not too expensive. You can get them for $5 or $6 a pop. And then if you get yourself a nice little... I got the little Dremel kit of 5 or 6 drill bits on it. 5 or 6 of the smallest, most usual, normally used small drill bits. So I just assigned each one to a different handle, a different pin vise, so I could just pick it up and go and use it with no fuss, no muss, not having to fight the pin vise to get the drill bit in. Especially since some of these pin vices don't feel like they bite down on the bit very well. I thought I had the volume turned down there. Evidently not. So I'm going to go ahead and just jam those right into the little hole that I made there. And we'll put a little bit of super duper glue in there. Some cyanoacrylic glue. Super glue is is actually just a brand name, so not too concerned about brand names here. So we'll just go ahead and spread that around a little bit. Use a little piece of paper towel, and we'll just spread that around that stem just a little bit. Get a nice even coat there. And then we'll just stick it right into the little mushroom hole that we got there, and yeah, just like that. Fits great. fits great. It looks good too. So just like that, it's got a nice kind of wild offshoot. Gives a little bit more interest to the base there. So, and then we'll go ahead and get the other one off of where we're holding it and painting it. Clean off the blue tack a little bit. And then, yeah, we'll go ahead and check to see if the fit's going to work. The fit is going to work. Great. And, yeah. So I've got a little bit of blue tack left right on that stem, so I'm going to just kind of pick it up and pick it off there. And, yeah. Super simple, no fuss, no muss. And again, we'll just put a little bit of cyanoacrylic glue right here on the end of the stem. Put the cap back on that. Go ahead and spread that around so it doesn't squish up when we put it in the socket that we made. There we go. And I'm going to just let it sit in there like that. Kind of give it a little bit more of a whimsical aim, a little more of a whimsical angle maybe. Just try to get it a little more interest to it, where it's not following the same angle as the mushroom that's in front of it. Just to kind of give a nice amount of difference there. Vive la différence, right? Vive la difference. So just like that. And then we'll just clean up some of the plastic shavings around here. And maybe put another drop or two of thin cyanoacrylic here. Just another little drop just to kind of lock that in place. Let it fill that gap. We'll let it fill that gap. Same thing over here. We'll give it a little bit more to it. Don't want to go too far because we don't want it to run out all over the place, and we'll just dab away some of the excess there. Dab away. You can dab away. Dab all day if you want to. Oh. Apologies to the pixies. All right. So, there we go. We got some nice cold gray colors on here, but we also have some nice warm bright reds and bright yellows. And even the blues give a nice little dash of color, even though they're cool. Give a nice dash of color. So after we do that, we'll go ahead and work on his eyes. I think I'll put him back on his hobby holder. And yeah, let's go ahead and just let that set up. Let that super glue set up, and we'll go ahead and we'll get to it here in just a moment. Just let it set up, and we'll touch up some of these. We'll just touch up some of the color on here, just because there's super glue on there, and it's kind of giving it a little bit of a gloss to it where the mushrooms are attached to the base. So I think we'll remedy that. Maybe you'll use a little gray, a little brownish gray maybe, just to blend it back in. So but I will have to, let me see here. I need to download and find out who is subscribing right now. I've only got 2 subscribers at the moment. I know one person, there was already one person that subscribed in for this particular drawing, and because I'm so slow lately, I've had to, cancel a couple of streams here and there. I'm going to put him back in to the drawing. So there'll be three subscribers that are 3 Twitch subscribers. Subscribers on Twitch and subscribers on YouTube mean 2 different things. So just remember that's a thing. So let's see. There is a way to find, where is it? All right, here we go. All right, so I downloaded my subscriber list, so that's good. And we'll look at it here in just a second. Oops. Let's see, here we go. We'll open that up. Come on, computer, you can do it. All right. So I know exactly who is subscribed. I'm going to add one more person because they were subscribed when I started this particular paint job, so it would not be fair for me to leave them out. So there'll be three possible subscribers tonight from Twitch. If you are not subscribed on Twitch yet and you're watching, or if you've been following and have been thinking about subscribing, well, right now would be the best time to do it so that you can get in on winning this wee nasty beastie. And as Mjar likes to say, it looks better in hand than it does on stream or in pictures. So we'll take Mjar Asnible's word for it. But if you're watching over on YouTube, consider becoming a subscriber on YouTube, and if you haven't already, because I need to have 50 subscribers. Hey, Savage Brewski, how you doing? Hadouken, he says. All right, well, I agree with Hadouken. I also like Igtom, Haberdashery, Brogan. What other great video game memes are there? Oh, there's affirmative, right? There's that one. Yeah, that's a favorite one. How you doing, Savage Brewski? How's life treating you? Getting squared away in your new place? I hope. So, all right. So I need to paint the inside of this dude's mouth. I'm just going to use some contrast Vulpus pink. Nothing too fancy. There's a lot of model colored interior in his mouth already anyway. So we're just going to use that as a interior, the Kirby shout, the Final Fantasy VII dance, ha ha, FFX, ha ha ha, right? Getting settled, just wrapping the workday. Nice, nice, nice. Nice when you can wrap the workday. Good deal. All right, so we're going to pick up some of this Vulpus pink. I really should clean out my water here, but we'll just add that Vulpus pink right in there, just so we don't have any nasty light colored gray, grayish white gray going on back there. It's probably part of the mouth that you'll never see anyhow, but there it is, right? So we'll do our drawing here in just a little while. I'm going to do it a little earlier tonight because I may do a slightly shorter stream because I do have an early morning tomorrow. So, and then we'll do his eyes. We need to do his eyes. He has such pretty eyes. So we'll do up his eyes. I think I like to do his eyes in orange and blue. So the blue will be brought out by the mushrooms. You know, the mushrooms really bring out the blue in your eyes. So, and the orange I think will be a nice color to go with the yellow. It will enhance that yellow there. So, well, that's good to hear. It's always nice to be done with the day and kick back and watch some hobby content on the old inner tubes. Glad you're here. Hopefully work's going well for you. The old 9 to 5 everyday grind. My work week's been a little strange. I haven't hardly touched my tools. I've been doing surveys and estimations. So that's been a little bit of a change, but I'll tell you what, I'd rather light my head on fire than do paperwork and figure up stuff for people. It takes just as much time to figure things up as it does to actually do the work, you know. Kind of frustrates me. Feels like I'm not doing anything, but I am, you know. I mean, just try to be a little faster, a little more productive with it. It's just, I don't really have one place to go to get all of my information though sometimes, so I have to do a little bit of a chase around, you know, to get all that information that I need. So generally I like to do the eyes before I do the rest of the face, but this is such a large figure. I think it's okay. Loving and hating the remote work. Oh, okay. Well, I was looking on YouTube tonight, and I was watching. I went and got a bite to eat before I came home because I hadn't eaten all day, so I stopped off and got something. And so I was watching YouTube a little bit while I was eating, and I was watching some stuff about remote work, remote jobs that you can do. There's some really neat stuff out there that doesn't pay too badly, seems like. And at least for where I live in my area, it would be considered very good pay. Be a nice pivot to make. Kind of getting tired of working with. Kind of getting tired of what I'm doing. But I do it really well. But I do kind of get tired of customers that change their mind. So you've spent all the time to get the prices together and get things set up for them, and then they go in this. They decide, well, they don't really want that, or you know, whatever. So before I moved, I worked in a small law office, very tight group, helped them go remote during the pandemic, and I decided to take my job with me when I moved. So, aha. Well, legal is one of those things you can do remotely a lot better than you can. I can't do construction work remotely, unfortunately. I don't have a long enough screwdriver. And going out to people's houses and figuring up work that needs to be done, and then you get to tell them how much it costs, and you should have an ambulance on speed dial when they get the price. Well, I thought it was just going to be, well, maybe 35 years ago it would have been that, but prices go up over the years, that's for sure. All right, we'll do a little lining around his eyes after we get his pupils in. We're going to do blue pupils, I think, on this guy. Blue. Let's go with a really bright blue. What do you say? Viking blue is a nice bright blue. It'll be a nice contrast to that orange, I think. If that orange is dried up now, I believe it is. To an acceptable amount. All right, let's get a little pokey tool. We'll poke that. It's not coming out real easy. There we go. But yeah, we got quite a bit of things that kept me busy this week. It just didn't keep me. I just wasn't working with my tools, and I always feel like I'm not doing something, even though I am doing things. It's just resource heavy to. It's just a resource heavy. Procedure that doesn't really produce anything. So kind of frustrating. Yep. It needs to be a little bit thicker. Clean that off. That's too thin. It needs to be a little thicker so it sticks to that area. It needs to have some of that sclera showing more towards the top than the bottom, so he's not looking just out in vain, right straight out like a 1,000-yard stare. We want to give him, make him look like he's looking down at whoever he's coming up against there, because he's a little bit taller than everybody else on the field. So he just needs to look down a little bit. Do that. Maybe raise, maybe get just a little more up there. There we go. That'll look good. Then we'll use some of this gray-green. Oh, ad break. Right. Sorry. I'm going to try something while we're on the ad break. Don't know if that'll work or not. There is a way. There is a way to. Yeah, here we go. Let's see if that does any better in the aspect ratio being put out there. Oops, wrong button. Nope, I guess not. Okay. Okay, I was trying to see if I could get some zoom in going here and get a better aspect ratio for everyone out there. But it's not looking like that worked. So, oh well. Oh well. It's a good idea. What camera I got? I've got an IPEVO 4K document camera, and it's got a, what is this, a 4:3 aspect ratio as opposed to a wider ratio, but it is a 4K camera, believe it or not. I am using a 4K camera. So, and I've got fiber optic now, so I need to start thinking about pushing more data down the pipeline. But my problem right now is my older computer. I don't know that it could handle upgrading my upgrading my output. So with 4K, if I output at 4K, I could output at 1080p and have a pretty decent picture, even after all the compression on the websites, you know. But it is an IPEVO. It's a 4K. It's the same one that Rhonda, what's her name, over Reaper uses. So, but seems like she can get a better results with it than I can, you know. But it is plug and play, so I don't have to do much thinking with it. But I was just trying to get a little bit more 16:9 going on with the am I streaming through OBS? Yes, I am streaming through OBS. So I was trying to, so I can actually enlarge the canvas and actually zoom in on the canvas, but I could not. It doesn't look like it affects the output actually. So the canvas side and the output side, the output does not match the canvas side. Unfortunately. Maybe a setting I can mess with in there. Yeah, I think there's probably is, but I just haven't found it yet. I try to watch a little bit about OBS settings and different things as often as I can, but sometimes it's not the right time. Busy guy, it's just hard to get everything done that I'm supposed to get done, let alone the things that I want to get done. I know you can relate to that, Savage. Absolutely, I'm sure. Because it's not like adult life is full of that kind of thing, right? All the traumas and stresses of everyday life. Try to get the things done that you need to do, let alone the things that you want to do. But, folks, if you're not watching Savage Brewski's older content out there on YouTube, you should do so. He's got some nice little short videos about building some terrain and the like. So simple terrain that everybody needs, that everybody can use in their games. I think you probably enjoy his content there. If you enjoy just easy, quick things that anybody can do. Give it a watch. Go check it out. Savage Brewski over on the YouTube. Indeed, relate to that. Finally hit my sweet spot with the eMeet Nova 4K webcam and OBS settings. Yeah, no doubt. There's a couple of cameras I've been looking at. There's the Vivitar 4K that's like $100 at Walmart. It's just a video recording camera, but it looks like it might work pretty good. It's got some good zoomage on it, but I don't know. I kind of like the cheap options. Do what you can with what you have. I don't have a lot of money to invest in a lot of that kind of stuff. Not all at once anyway. What I'd really like to do is I would like to get an ATEM station so that I could ditch OBS and have a multi-camera setup, because you can only do so much with a computer. You only got so much space in your USB buses, so you can only do so much with USB cameras. So you can only do so much. If you get a decent camera, and I think you're okay and just tweak settings and plugins, you can go a long way. Yeah. Well, one of the plugins I need to get is the one that combines all of your chats into your OBS backstage, so that I don't have to have a million things open all at once. And I can just have the OBS up and running and just do everything I need to through there. So that's one thing I need to do for sure. And just there's a lot of little tweaks and little things here and there that I need to do. And just finding the time to do them is kind of the challenge, you know. So do follow Savage Brewski over on Instagram, if you will. If you're not already following him, you should do that. Build up his audience a little bit. He and a couple other boys had a nice little podcast going on for a while. Hopefully we get to see that come back sometime soon. That'd be kind of cool. But Life happens, may not happen, may happen, who knows. Let's thin that out just a little bit. I'm just going to feather this off. Just thin it down and let it just kind of fade away. Just let it kind of fade away. Pick up a little bit of that lighter gray and put that up on top here. Just want to get trying to fake out the light just a little bit. I'm no Eric Swinson. I'm not painting with lights and shadows, but I do like to try to get those highlights in a believable place, and I don't like to have that real harsh delineation between colors if I can help it. So, and it's not really wet blending. I'm really just kind of working it out and glazing it out and kind of getting more of a feathery effect. So it's not really a wet blend by any means. And he's got some splotchy, you know, he's made out of rocks, so he's got a splotchy looking. Gathering up my materials for the next project and unburying stuff that I packed. Some bigger terrain sets in the very near future. Nice, Savage. Very good. Very good. It's a good idea. That is great. I think that'll be really enjoyable. That's the challenge though. After moving, is unpacking and finding those projects and getting it going. You know, that is kind of the challenge. I moved into this place going on 3.5 years now. Next spring will be 4 years, I think. So, I'm not. I don't. There are things that are still all out of whack. Boxes of papers and things I need to go through and sort out and file, and just so many things to do. You know, moving is always such an upset to your schedule and to your system and everything. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad I moved. I'm glad I got my own place. But still, it can be a bit of a system shock to deal with the things that moving makes you deal with. There's some people that like to move. I can't imagine being one of them. When I was a kid, there were families that moved. Seemed like they moved every other week, felt like. For no better reason other than they just feel like they felt like they found a better house, you know, or whatever. And it's like, how do you do that? How do you do that? Let's see if we can make this a little bit better and doesn't look like I just jammed a paintbrush in there just for whatever. Let's see if we can get a little more delineation there. A little rounder, a little bit better. then we'll take a little bit of matte black, just some straight up matte black, and give him maybe, I don't know, maybe like almost, part of me wants to give him a cat's eye style pupil, but I think I'll just go with just a round pupil. Some weird little colors going on in there. And really, if he was going to be seeing at night, I really should leave it more of a red or yellow pupil. But we'll go with what, we'll just do with what it is. And then I'll use a little bit of gray and redelineate what's called the water line, that lower eyelid, the very top edge of that lower eyelid. You know, I've been thinking about things as far as, say, miniature painting goes. Sometimes we limit ourselves to resources that are specifically for miniatures painting or hobby painting or scale modeling. But I think we should all consider, for those of you who are gentlemen out there, man up and read a book on applying makeup. Because makeup, the ladies, they use makeup, but they have to learn how their faces look. They understand, they teach themselves how the human face works by applying makeup. And quite honestly, that's something that, if you're going to paint effective faces, probably wouldn't be a bad idea to learn about. You know, probably wouldn't be a terrible, there's probably concepts in books on makeup that would come in very useful. YouTube Contouring 101 for a very funny makeup video. I'll have to look at that. YouTube Contouring 101. Okay. I have to look at that later on. But we just want to try to pick out some of those little details around his eyes there. We want his eyes and his nose, his brow. We want these to be the higher highlighted places. So, what they call the T-zone. So I think I'll add a little white into that gray and just brighten it up just a little bit more. So brighten that up just a little more. Definitely need to clean out my water. Definitely. Alright, so we're just going to take a little bit of that white gray right there at the very end of his nose. Right there just on his non-existent eyebrows there. It's a little bit brighter than the rest of his face. Tab just a little there, maybe a little bit right here along the very edgy edge of his upper lip. Maybe some right there. some of these sharper poking out spots while I got some on my brush. I'm not really trying to reload my brush with this. I don't know that I really want to do that, but just kind of, while I've got it on my brush, I think I want to just use a little bit at a time. I don't want to go full on highlighting every single little edge, but just kind of pick up some of these higher highlights here. Any place that I see any light kind of reflecting, I'm just kind of just tap real quick. Like I said, as long as I've got it on my brush, I'll work with it. I'm not going to go to any real special lengths to get this white gray reloaded on my brush. Just kind of not really stipple it, but also I don't really want to have a solid line. Just pick out little spots here where you just kind of catches your interest. So I'm just following a little bit of the light that I'm actually seeing catch on the model as I hold it underneath the task light here. So just kind of enhancing any kind of reflection that I already have. So, but yeah, there we go. And a little bit left on my brush, and if I run out while I work on it, well, that's fine too. I'm not really trying to use too much of this color, too many places. And if it's a little thinner than I would normally want it, and it's showing through a little bit, that's fine too. We're just trying to get a suggestion, really. So, just get a suggestion of a little bit lighter spot there. I think that will be just fine. Alright. And I'm going to take my knife. I got a little bit of yellow. A little yellow that decided to get on there. So, alright, we're going to clean that brush. And then we'll get a little bit of brown and a little gray. We'll get some Necromancer cloak. Necromancer cloak, as well as, what is this? Hardened carapace, and they're a very brown colored sort of a gray, and right around the bases of those mushrooms is where we're going to go ahead and hit this color. So hardened carapace. You know, I was just using this the other day, so why is it so clogged up already? I don't know. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop? I don't know. I mean, these things are ponderable imponderables. If the tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, does anybody really care? So there's some hardened carapace. It's a little thicker. I don't know why. Little Necromancer cloak. We'll put that out there. All army paint. These are army painter colors. Necromancer cloak is looking a little more bluish gray now. It wasn't blue gray before, but it is now. So we'll do that. We'll take a little bit of ochre here. So a little green ochre from Vallejo's Flames of War series paints, and a little bit of Vallejo model color beige brown, and we'll add that into the mix, or put that down on the palette so we can get a little bit more of a icky kind of gray to go around the bases of those mushrooms, so we're not seeing the shine from the glue. That's what we're trying to avoid here. I'm trying to avoid the shine from the glue. I'm going to go ahead and put this dude back on the painting handle. so that I'm not putting my big ugly fingers in the way. Just get a little water here on the old brushy brush. And we're just going to mix some of those grays together, a little brown in there. Mushroom gray brown, if you will. And we're just going to hit that right around the base. Maybe a little more straight up gray. Just there. Maybe mix a little bit of that darker gray back in. And just let it do what it wants to do. And we'll just kind of do a little bit of random spotting with whatever we've got on the brush. Maybe add a little dark to that. Just there. Just let it do. Let it blend. You know, not being too precise here. Just let it blend. Let it blend. Let it do its thing. Maybe add a little more gray back here, a little more brown. Maybe some dark brown. We'll pick it off here. Just like here. Some brown, some gray in there. Just not really caring too much. Again, we're just trying to maintain some. We want to give a little bit different texture to the base than we do on the figure. So a little bit different colors going on there, different qualities of gray. Very gray model, but also add those browns in there. Get your warm earth colors, your dirty brown gray in there, and that's not a bad thing to help delineate some of those, show that it's a different surface. It's not, the Cavern Troll is not part of the base. He's standing on the terrain, not the base. Or he's standing on, you know what I mean. He's standing there. He actually exists separate from the base. And that's what I'm trying to get to. He actually exists separate from the base. There were some plastic shavings right there, so I got rid of those just now. So we'll just go around there so we don't have any of that shine from the super glue. Hopefully it's dried up. We're not picking up and ruining yet another brush with accidental pickup of super glue on the old brush there. So now I got a little bit too much brown in there. It's starting to look a little too close to that mushroom base color. So let's add a little more darker gray. Maybe take a touch of black even. Just a touch of black. And we'll just mix that in there. Get those to look, we're talking about delineating the delineation of the, I'm drawing a blank on the word I'm looking for. You'll get that when you get old. Subject, delineating the subject, delineating the areas, delineating, it was really a very precise word, and I am at a loss at the moment. All right. So that's a nice sort of motley base going on there. Even around the edge. I might go ahead and paint that edge rim black, but I kind of like the idea that it kind of blends down. That's okay too. All right. I'm going to call this fella done. I think. So, there you have it. I believe it's going to be done. As done as it's going to be now. So, let's go ahead and see who goes home, see whose house this comes to. So, if you're on Twitch and you aren't subscribed yet, and you want a shot at this fearsome, fun, warm fella, good with kids, plays well with others, likes to snuggle. You got a minute or so to subscribe if you're not subscribed already on Twitch. If you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe to help me to get where I can actually mobile stream some of my paint and take events. So, and also if you're also watching on YouTube, please feel free to wrestle the thumb and give us a like. And of course, you can look at this fella. I'll be posting him up on my Instagram as well. So, also I do post on Facebook and Instagram both. One of my favorite groups is called Build, Paint, Play. And that is a group run by Dave Taylor, who used to work at Games Workshop and is one of the preeminently skilled people in the hobby, in the industry, in fact. So, also watch their show on YouTube, 7 o'clock on Tuesday nights, and join up their group on Facebook. Follow my Instagram as well, so you can see a collection of, well, pictures. First of all, it's a way that I let you know what's happening with the channel if I have to make any changes. I'll put that out there. Also, I post up pictures from paint and takes, and then I also post up pictures of the projects that I've done, as well as the monthly monster projects. So, all right. So let's go ahead. I'm going to get the wheel of names. I'm going to pull that up here. Wheel of names. I am not technologically adept, so I don't know how to get it to show on screen, but we're going to go here. Wheelofnames.com. Here we go. We're going to put the names up here. So we got Dollar Dylan. Copy. Alright, so DD Minis is out. And Black Skull, I think is, he was in, I think he's out now, but he was in when I started. So I'm going to go ahead and allow Black Skull's name to stay in, and I'm going to put in. We got Mjar Ajnabul, who is also, let's see, Mjar won. So DD Minis won the Blue Dragon, which was the last one. So Mjar's back in the drawing this time around. So we got Black Skull, Dollar Dylan, and Mjar Ajnabul. And if you haven't subscribed yet, and you're watching, hit hit that purple button that says subscribe there, and or is it the white button? Well, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't. I will give you a moment. I'm going to do something with a moment. I think I'm going to look for something else to start painting tonight. I think we'll start painting the green dragon. Young green dragon. So that will be the next one. I'm trying to get caught up. I'm a little bit behind on these, so maybe getting this green dragon and have a second. Maybe we'll have a second monthly monster this month. Maybe we'll do two. I don't know. So, okay. Well, here we go. We're gonna hit the wheel of names. It is 8 o'clock. I've been streaming for an hour now, over here on Twitch and YouTube. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get that going. Is there anybody else? If the window is now closed for getting your subscription in for this particular figure. So we're going to hit it, and here we go. Boom. Come on, computer. Stop being. That's not what I want. I stop with the commercials. Urgh. Okay, now I can click. Do. All right, we got Dollar Dylan. Dollar Dylan won. So that's good for him. I know he was wanting that. Sometimes it works out. All right. Very cool. Dollar Dylan. Okay. All right. Dollar Dylan is the winner of this month's monthly monster. So we'll get that out to him. Since he lives in the area, I might be able to hand this off to him in person. So we'll take some pictures of it so everybody can see it on the Instagram. But you too could be the proud parent of one of our monthly monsters. All it takes is a Twitch subscription. So that is that one. So we'll put him up here in the light box and take some pictures, put it out there on the internet's webs. All right. Well, let's go ahead and start working on the next monthly monster, because next week's going to be chopped up anyway, because I've got a convention to attend, and I will be running a paint and take at the first paint and take of the off-season convention season. So I'll be doing that next week. So gonna have a good time there. So we've got the Nolzur's Green Dragon, the Wizkids Young Green Dragon, which is where you'll find the brew that is true at the Green Dragon. So go ahead and get this assembled here. I think the dragon will be considerably more easy than that troll was. we'll see. So all right, so jam this thing into his side. Doesn't sound very comfortable. No wonder this dragon is upset. He's got a thing jammed in his side. Let's see how that fits. I think I need to probably trim it down just a little bit. So, let's see. That looks like that needs a little trim. Little trim there. Ah, yeah, we'll do a little trim there. And we'll have the down east Yankee sort of accent for right now. Let's see how this keys in here. Looks like this keys in here like this. So he's swooping down. Look at that. Now that's a pretty neat pose. Looks like he is swooping down there. So that's pretty cool. How much cleanup is there on this guy? Not going to worry too much about it. Looks like it's minimal. I don't really see too many really bad mold lines. Although I don't like it when these wings get all folded over, so I'm gonna cut the sound for a minute, and I'm gonna hit this wing with the heat gun and see if I can get a little bit straighter look on that. So I think it'll look better. So I'm gonna go silent while I run the heat gun because nobody wants to hear that. So killing sound right now. So I think I'm just going to hold this here until it cools down. Hopefully it won't spring back into shape. It's pretty floppy. Now if I were really smart, I would have a cup of cold water here, but again, as I've said here before, being accused of being smart is something that is very rare in my life. So we're just going to go with it. So we're just going to let that cool off like that, and hopefully it will stay. So it'll be a minute before we get that, before that stays here. Looks like there is a pretty good mold line, parting line right on his neck and belly. So we'll go ahead and address that. But for the most part, they're pretty well hid, or they're so small that it's hard to notice anyway. So that's the one thing about mold lines, though, is they can take a really nice paint job. You could do the best paint job in the world, but if you have left mold lines on your figure, it really does detract from it. But these PVC figures are hard to track down all the mold lines, and I don't have a lot of time with these figures to get them done and get them out to you, the subscribers, those who would adopt the monthly monsters. So that's pretty floppy. So hopefully once it cools off, it will stay in this position. That's the one thing though, is the plastic does sometimes like to go back to its most mangled position. If it's been mangled and sitting in the package for a while, sometimes it wants to go back to that particular shape, even if you've heated it up to a real flop, and it's been exceedingly floppy. If you don't lock it in with cold water and ice, it will want to curl back to its original position. So, still warm. So we don't want to give it any encouragement to go back to its original mangled position. But there's some old lines, there's some parting lines here, some parting lines here. Of course, this when I get rid of this, it's going to kind of clear out some of this texture. But what's the old word? Come see, come saw. It is what it is. Que sera, sera. So that's floppy. Once this hardens up, I'll know that it's, because this side is pretty hard. This side over here is a little bit still pretty soft. So once that wing gets a little bit harder, still warm right here. So I don't want to let it do what it wants to do while it's still a little warm. I don't want to let it droop. It's probably going to want to try to spring back to that curled up mangly shape again. But we'll see. If it does a little bit, I don't mind. But if it goes back around to where it was, I won't be very happy. All right. So I'm going to grab a sanding stick here and just kind of run down where there's this weird little parting line here. I got to be careful because I don't want to take off too much of the texture. But the sanding stick's really one of the better things I found for this PVC plastic, because it's hard to use your, like I've said before, and I know I've said it on this channel. So generally, most people, when you're doing work with, say, hard plastic, a lot of times people use the back of their hobby knife. But if you do that with this PVC, sometimes it rolls up and it leaves little furry bits. So a sanding stick or a soft sander will work better, because it kind of tears, instead of scraping, it sort of tears those little lines off. You can also use your hobby knife's sharp edge, and you can actually carve away those parting lines. But scraping them like this at a perpendicular angle doesn't generally work. It does tend to leave weird little fuzzy bits. And like right here, it's trying to tear that plastic and it just wants to pull it, and it stretches it out. So that's what you're actually doing, is you're pulling and stretching out the plastic when you're pulling it like this. Which it works really great on the hard plastic like the polystyrene, to use the back of your hobby knife. But see, you can see right here, there's one of those weird little hairs that it wants to leave behind, because you're actually just tearing and stretching that plastic instead of actually scraping it off. So if you hit it with the sanding stick, it tends to, it's almost like it burns off that area, because there's a little more friction, it seems like. That's my theory. So Slice that. Slice that. Hopefully not slice myself, right? Well, let's see if I can get that parting line off there. It's that's going to be a persnickety one. Sounds like I got a message come through my phone. So I'll have to go and see what that's all about here in just a moment. All right. Very cool. Oh, there's quite a big mold line right here on his legs. Let's go ahead and get that off. That's pretty awful looking. Let's see. Might have to carve that right off because that's pretty pronounced. I cannot countenance that one. So generally, though, I will say if it were just for myself, I'd probably leave it. I wouldn't care, but got to do the minimal. Got to do the minimal. At least I got to at least try, you know. Especially if this is going to go out to a paying supporter. If you want to support the channel, feel free to subscribe on Twitch. Use your Prime Video account as well. You can use your Prime. If you have Prime Video, you can actually subscribe a month at a time to a Twitch streamer of your choice. Let this month's be yours, and you let this channel be your choice this month, and you may wind up adopting this wee beastie here. So I'm going to slice that away. Slice it away. Slice it away. Slice it away. Better. Not great, but better. I think we might be able to live with it. Get those big lines right off of those toes there. Those are pretty awful. So we'll go ahead and start this one up. I think we got most of the most noticeable lines off of this fella. Not spent a lot of time cleaning up on him, but trying to get the most worstest away there. I think I will leave the base off of him until I'm done. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this base on here. Um, I'm going to key this plastic up. Because this plastic is very slick, and when you key it, what it does, I mean, obviously it roughens up the surface, but why does the rough surface make a difference? Well, first of all, the rough surface is grabby. Why is it grabby? Because each scratch actually increases the surface area of of the surface. It increases the surface area of the surface. It increases the surface area because what happens is a scratch, if you have a flat plane, right? You only have this much surface area. Let's say that plane that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 30 millimeter, 30, what is this? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Yeah, so that's 30 millimeters across right there. No, 50. Sorry. That's 10. Are these 10 or 5? These are 10 millimeter boxes. So 10, 20, 30, 40. So 50 millimeters across here. Right? So you only have 50 millimeters of surface area squared, or whatever shape it is. But if you scrape it, you're putting little grooves in that surface, and that actually increases the surface area. So your surface doesn't go like this anymore. Your surface follows those grooves now that you've installed into that flat plane. So it increases your surface area. That's why when you key up that surface area, it gives you grip. That roughness gives grip because you have increased the surface area. Don't you just love science, folks? I love science. You know who's a good scientist? Is my cat, Pumpkin. He likes to knock things off because he's checking the gravity. He knocks things off of things. For no good reason, really. Other than he's making sure that the gravity still works. You know, if he didn't check the gravity daily, we might fly off into the sky. If it weren't for cats keeping an eye on the gravity, we would all just float away. Truth. It's truth. You might not. You can believe it if you want. You can or not believe it. You can if you want to. If you don't believe it, don't believe it at your own peril. But that's what cats do. They're in charge of gravity. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to take my word for it, but I mean, I don't know how anybody couldn't believe that. Now, would Neil deGrasse Tyson agree with me? Probably not. But I don't care what Neil deGrasse Tyson agrees with or not. It's truth. It's truth. Cats check the gravity. That's why they knock things off constantly. So I need that there is a little bit of a mold line right there, so I think I will. Maybe I should just ignore it. I don't know. I'm going to have to polish it back. Or not. It doesn't matter. Hard to say. Having things flying on posts is always weird. Because you're supposed to ignore the post and pretend like it's not really there, but what can you do? So that's a pretty good grit on that. Let's see. I think I've got some much finer grit that would probably do better, and I wouldn't have that. I mean, I don't know which is worse, to have a parting line right there or to have a big scrapey line right there. Let's go ahead and let's see. I think I've got some. So I've got some 1200 grit abrasive pad here. So I'm going to use this 1200 grit and clean that up a little bit. So there's a 30. Whoa, it goes all the way up to 32. Look at this. I didn't realize that this package goes all the way up to 3200 grit. Wow, that's almost like hitting it with a washcloth. But this 1200 grit is also very soft. It's very deceptive, quite honestly. So we're just going to hit that and see what that does. It cleans it up a little bit, doesn't it? Cleans it up better than it was. So we'll see how that works. All right, well, that's not bad. Wish I had something in between whatever this grit was. This is pretty coarse. Maybe if I had like a 600 grit, I have to go out. I have to go out to and grab my toolbox and get some other actual sandpaper out. So we'll see how that works. I may just have to accept it as it is. You know, you can only do so much. You can only do so much. Sometimes you just have to accept it for what it is. So we'll squeeze that together there a little bit more. So 1200 to 3200 grit. Wow, that's pretty amazing. I did not realize. I thought I only had 1200 in that package. That's pretty cool. Well, I'm going to set that aside. I don't know that I need to worry about too much. What I might do is I might hit that with a little bit of gloss coat as well, and that would probably fill in some of those scratches. And so that's kind of a cheat. Although when it comes to hobby cheats, you're not really cheating because it works, right? There's no rules, so you can't cheat at something that doesn't have any rules. There's sometimes people that like to get online and come up with rules and things you should or shouldn't do, or how to do things on your hobby projects. But quite honestly, just ignore them. You know, they want to write rules and they want to gatekeep and they want to tell you how to do things. You know, or tell you that the way you're doing it is wrong. There really is no right way or wrong way to paint a figure or to engage with your hobby. The only right way to do it is to do it. I mean, if you use speed paints, if you use contrast paints, speed paints, express paints, whatever brand you're using or whatever fancy name they've come up with, if that's your thing, if that's how you're engaging with your hobby, then by all means, engage with your hobby. If it works for you, there's some really great work that's been done with those products. So they will get you started if you haven't. You know, here's the thing. I think those products are good because they get people used to the idea of putting paint on plastic. Okay. Are they learning how to glaze? Sort of, they can learn how you can learn how to glaze with some of those speed paint options. Are you learning how to layer up and do base color, midtones, highlights, blending? No, but you know what? You will learn how to do those eventually. Miniac Scott Walters has a video on that. I think it came out earlier this week, late last week, earlier this week. I think his videos drop on Tuesdays, Mondays or Tuesdays, and kind of disagreed a little bit with him as far as his take on speed paints, but I understand his point. Though I have run across people, and there was somebody came on this channel saying that people that are using speed paints aren't actually learning how to paint. Well, they are learning how to paint. They're just not learning how to paint the way I learned how to paint. So, but they are engaging with their hobby. They are making progress. They're doing something that they might not have been able to do before. And they're using something that they're comfortable with. So, is it going to be all blended up? Probably not. Could you blend with speed paints? I believe you can. There are other things you can do. I've used speed paints as, well, if you look at my Instagram and you find the two-headed Enten that went out to somebody, I think it went out to Mjar Ashnable a couple of months ago. I think he won that one. If you look at that, I did a base coat of flesh, and then I used the Crusader Flesh speed paint to go back over that and get a nice gradient off of that opaque color. So there are ways to use those tools that aren't just slapping them on there. And I think if people use those tools, they will become comfortable with them, and they'll probably be more inclined to combine those tools with more traditional methods of painting, like the layering up and the like that you see, the kind of method that I do here with the base coat, mid-tone, and highlights, which was kind of made popular by Kev Dallimore. So I call it the Kev Dallimore school. But even Kev Dallimore has moved on from just doing it that way. He's added a lot more washes and blending and different things. So he's moved on. His painting has matured over the years as well as he's matured. That sounds terrible. We all mature, right? We all find different ways of approaching things. So, all right. I think I'm going to leave him apart from the base while I work on him. So, let me grab a green. Let me grab some green here. We'll start out with Reaper Pine Green. We're going to go with the Reaper Green Triad, I think. Alright, so I'm going to be using the Reaper Green Triad on this green dragon, which is Pine Green 010, Leaf Green 0111, and Pale Green 0112. 90, I was going to make a 90210 joke, but it's 9010, 9011, and 9012. These are all available from Reaper, made right here in the USA, in the great state of Texas, or Tejas, if you will. So we're going to get the old pine green out, and we're just going to go all over that critter with pine green. Although I really should spend some time and clean this. I should clean this palette off because it's got all sorts of schmutz and junk on here. So let's see. Oh, we'll just clean it. That's the great thing about a palette like this is it's hard tile. You can just scrape it with a razor blade. I've actually got a flat razor blade somewhere that I have for this, but it'll peel right off real nicely. So, but it is time to clean that palette right off. Cleans up pretty good, quite honestly. So, just big old chunks comes right off. See the interplay of, kind of see some of the what's left over from your old projects there. Kind of neat. But I like to use some people like to use a wet palette, and I have a wet palette. I just not made that transition yet. Which, painting 2 nights out of the week, and I put a little bit out on the palette, it would probably help me have some of those blends, kind of preserve those a little bit. But here we go. That was just that there pulled right off, and you can see some of the colors I've used before. And yeah, wish I had a flat blade instead of just this, but this is what it is. This is what it is for right now. Just using the old Stanley knife and just getting right underneath there, and it'll peel right up, coming up in chunks. The real trick is to not have any chunks left over, and get them all cleaned off there. So. All right. So we'll just do that and give a little wipe down here. All right. So we'll just douse this old fellow here with the pale green, and I'm gonna probably do a shorter stream tonight, just because I think I mentioned it earlier, but I do have an early morning tomorrow, and Fridays are always tough to get up on because it's the last day of the week, and I'm kind of old, you know. So, all right, pale green. Here we go. Oh, pokey tool. A Reaper pokey tool for Reaper paints. Here we go. All right, here we go. A little bit of green out on the palette here. Let's give another little shake here because it's not coming out. All right, come on out. Here we go. All right, we're going to use quite a bit, so quite a bit on the palette is good. And we're just going to get a big fat mop brush, and we're going to add a little bit of Cuttlefish Colors Merlin's magic medium to it, just to give it a little more working time, and not really have to worry about adding much in the way of water to it. We're just going to do this 1, 2, 3 drops. Get a little more flow to it. 4 drops, that's fine. Speaking of flow, the Painter Flow is somebody that you should follow on Instagram. The Painter Flow. She hangs out with Miranda, the wargaming girl, and they have their show every 2 weeks over on YouTube. So check out Wargaming Girl. Sit and chat on Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So, all right. So we're just gonna get green all over here. There's probably some things that eventually I don't want to have as green. Or the underbelly probably should be a different color. And there's some other interesting armored colored scales. But we're just going to go green all over and see where it takes us. That's the exciting thing about painting is sometimes you start out with one idea and it takes you somewhere else. And that idea changes as you go on. Very, very interesting, you know. That's the thing about art. You never know what it is until you're done. So what you drawing? I don't know. What you painting? Oh, I don't know. Guess we'll find out when we're done. It's not the destination, it's the journey. Which, that sounds glib, I guess, and that sounds probably trite. And it's an old saying, it's not the destination but the journey that means the thing, right? But sometimes when you're just painting, or art or music, if you're just noodling around with a few chords on the guitar or the piano, or messing around with just some weird beats on your drum kit, you know, you don't necessarily know where it's going to take you. You don't know what you're going to find, but at the end you're going to find that you've had an experience unlike any previous experience. What does that mean? Well, every time you set into a creative pursuit, even if it's something you've done 100 times before, what you are doing now is going to be different than anything you've done before. Oh, well, that sounds like deep thought, right? Well, I don't know about being deep thought by any means, but it definitely is it's definitely a thought, right? So, but give yourself a chance. Pick up your paintbrush or whatever, and of course we deal with painting here, so I'm going to be talking about pick up your paintbrush and just see where the paint takes you. See where that project leads you. See what happens. You just never know. All right, there is a lot of buildup in there, but it's also very thin. So once it dries out, that thinness, you'll have some good laydown. So it looks like there's a lot in those crevices, but it's really thin. So once it dries out, that laydown is going to drag that paint into those deep crevices. So I'm not too worried about it. So now if I weren't thinning down my paint, if I didn't put the Merlin's Magic Medium in there, I would be concerned because that's a whole nother thing. But if you have some buildup in your deeper spots with your colors after you've thinned them down well, it's not really a big deal. In fact, that's kind of the principle that those speed paints or contrast paints or expressed color, whatever brand you're using, whatever fancy name they've come up with, That's kind of how they work. And see, you can see this even here. So these are just opaques, and I've just got them thinned down, and they're very, very liquid because I used the Merlin's Magic Medium. And you can see how those valleys, those crevices, how it's built up just because of the natural flow. So there you have it. So I'm going to just wick some of that away because it is a little bit more in those areas that I want. So we're just going to bring it over. I haven't done a green dragon in a long time. Been a couple of years. So, but because it is kind of on the thinner side, I may be doing 2 coats as well. But I'm also probably going to cut the stream a little short tonight because I do have early morning tomorrow. So we may go till 9 or quarter after 9, maybe even as late as 9:30. But I got some things I've got to do too before I go to bed tonight. So may not get the full 4 hours in tonight. But I'd like to do more than just my monthly monster giveaways, so hopefully I can get back to a better schedule on this channel and do some more fun things. I've got lots of things to paint for Ralpartha, so I think you all will enjoy that. And yeah. So yeah, I tell you, Tuesday nights is a fun, nerdy night, you know, because you got Build Paint Play over here on the YouTube, and you've got me painting, and there's a lot of other people that paint on Tuesday nights. So you could bounce around from channel to channel and just support all sorts of favorite hobby content creators just by your being there and by throwing a subscribe down on the YouTube or follow on the Twitch. If you're watching and you haven't followed, by all means give us a follow over here on Twitch, because when I hit 400 follows on Twitch, I will be giving away a brand new copy of Warcrow. That's the Warcrow box from Corvus Belly. I've got one of those to give away. So, by all means, if you know somebody that would enjoy the channel, feel free to, share the channel. Put it out there on put a link out on your chosen social media if you want. That'd be really great of you. I'd appreciate it very much. Because I would like to give away that box of Warcrow. But I can't do it until we get to 400 follows. And here I am getting out of frame. I apologize, folks. I'm getting out of frame here. I've got a monitor in front of me, but it's the monitor coming through YouTube, and that way I can watch the chat if anybody does chat over here on the YouTube side. But YouTube is YouTube's a little bit like the Maytag Repairman. It's a very lonely place right now for me. So But if you're watching over there, or if you're watching over here and want to go over there and help me build the channel over there on YouTube, um, give a like, and a thumbs up over there. And if you haven't subscribed over on YouTube, feel free to subscribe on YouTube as well. Some people like to watch on YouTube more than they like to watch on Twitch. The only problem with that is that I don't have the monetization on YouTube yet. So if you were to want to be part of the Monthly Monster Club, you have to do it on Twitch. Though when I do get monetization on YouTube, you will also have the option of becoming of joining the channel, and that will also put you in the running for being part of the Monthly Monster Club. But I haven't seen a lot of success with live painting over on YouTube. YouTube could do much better with their live streaming platform. One of the things they need to do is add in a raid option. That would be really great. That would really help the community over there, or over here. Over here if you're watching on YouTube, over there if you're not watching on YouTube. But we're not going to go too late tonight. Not going to make it to the full 11 o'clock. Usually 7 to 11 is how I do this stream on Thursday nights, but I've got places to be in the morning and things to do, people to meet. So tomorrow is going to be a crazy day. I've got the solar energy people coming again. They have it in their mind that they want to chop a hole in my drywall in my attic. Well, my attic is finished, and I do not relish the idea of having a solar power conduit going through my attic. So it may be a deal breaker. I may tell them to pound sand. I don't know. Although the savings that it would bring me is pretty great. I'm not too keen on the idea of having somebody run a big bare conduit, or worse, a service cable through my attic. That's supposed to be a hangout place with my couch and a recliner up there, my musical gear. Yeah. Not too much a fan of what they want to do. So we'll see. I may just call things off if they get too crazy. But I don't know. I like the idea of solar power, but I also like the idea of not going through my nicely finished attic to get from one side of the house to the other. Besides, they couldn't go through the other side anyway, because that's where my furnace is. So these people don't know what they're doing. The company that I'm dealing with was founded by a roofing contractor, which, in my opinion, as an electrician, roofing contractors doing solar or starting a solar, they don't have they may be experienced with what they're doing, and they may do it according to Hoyle, so to speak. But I don't think they have any business doing something that should be done by an electrician. That's my thought. But I'm an electrician, so, you know. I ought to grab the latest copy of the NEC and make them, and just like sit and watch them and criticize every move they make. I'll put my 35 years of electrical construction experience up against their 15 years of whatever it is they're doing. Any day. So yeah, I'm not too thrilled with what I may have to deal with tomorrow. And of course, I've got a project in the afternoon that I don't know how long it's going to take. So I try to meet them back here in the afternoon at my place, but I don't know. Just depends on how far I get with what I'm doing and how complicated and crazy it gets. That's the thing. You go out on a service call, you never know what you're going to run into. Which sometimes I think I'd like to have a regular 9 to 5 office kind of a thing, or some of those, one of those work at home sort of remote work jobs that are becoming more and more prevalent. But I don't know. I'm good at what I do, mostly. I'm not the fastest, but I do good work. I get along with our clients, our customers, generally speaking. There have been a few that I haven't, but they were also unreasonable and you know very difficult to put up with. We'll just say that at the time. So. So the green thins out a little bit much. So 2 coats would probably be fine. Bring that up to a little bit more of a deeper green. But it is quite a bit to cover there. And I'll probably use some green black on the scales and the like. So we'll see how that works out. But if I were using a contrast paint and this was just kind of my first or second attempt, or if I just needed to get it right onto the table, there's a lot of great detail on these figures. And the fact that they're already primed really helps. I mean, you can see how a coat of express paint or speed paint just would really work really well. You can see how that, because I have it thinned down, it washes out fairly thin, and you can see all those great details just kind of pop out. So, yeah, I think the Nolzers, the Wizkids figures, are very much intended to be used with some of these speed paint solutions. I think that's a little bit of a pun there, because the speed paints are solutions, but they're also solutions. They're solutions that provide solutions. Ha 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 ha. Nobody else thought that was funny? Okay, I guess. Must it's again, dad jokes and puns are allowed here en masse here on the channel. This is a safe, if you like puns, this is a safe space for you. If you don't like puns, then I'm sorry, this is not a safe space for you. All right. So we'll go for another 15 minutes here or so and see if I can get his tail finished painted up here. But there's a lot of places that it's getting harder and harder to grab hold and have something to hold on to this fellow with. So, of course, there's nothing that says this dragon has to be a male dragon. It could be a female dragon. So I say this fella, it's an assumption, right? So should we always assume that the monster is male? Could be female. Don't know. I guess you got a 50-50 chance. I wonder what dragon society would be like, you know? I mean, is it highly matriarchal? I mean, I don't know. Seems like it could be highly matriarchal. We don't know. Don't know. All right. I think that is going to be it for just tonight. I got a good coat of green on everything that I really know that I know is definitely going to be green. And some places I think I'm not going to be green, that I have green on. So I think we're going to call it for tonight, because like I said, I've got early morning. Normally I do go till 11 o'clock. It is usually a 4-hour stream from 7 to 11. But tonight is just going to be what tonight is going to be. So I've got a couple of things I got to get done before I go to bed too anyway, so anyhow. Oh, look at there. Big old fingerprint. See if we can get rid of that. All right, so we'll let that dry. We'll let it be what it is. What it is, what it was, what it be. Rinse out the old brush. And it is just an old brush. I gotta change out the water too before next session. And all right. Well, I will bid you all good evening. YouTube, well, if you're watching on YouTube, I will bid you adieu, good night on YouTube. And I do have a deal. If you use my code at Dubby, you can get 10% off of your order at Dubby. And the code is ROKKITFUEL, Rocket Fuel. ROKKITFUEL, Rocket Fuel at Dubby. And you'll get 10% off, so I'll leave you with that. That is, I do get a little something. Nobody has ever ordered any, so I haven't made use of that, but I do have that sponsorship. So if you want to if you want to support the channel in some way, you can do it that way through your purchase at Dubby using my code ROCKETFUEL, ROKKITFUEL. So, for you on YouTube, I will say good night and adieu. So, here we go, ending the YouTube side of things. So, good night, YouTube. And Twitch.